Good evening. Thank you for joining me. We had some serious technical difficulties earlier. We had 3 streams that collapsed. So hopefully this should be working now. I wanted to chat tonight about something that I realized many years ago. And that is, am I setting myself up? Am I putting myself in positions to prove to myself that I have no self-worth? That I have no value, that I'm no good. I keep putting myself, or kept putting myself in positions where I would fail, where I would let people down, where I would be unreliable, where I wouldn't be happy, where I wouldn't be safe, where I wouldn't succeed. Do any of these sound familiar? Why do we keep doing this to ourselves? Why do we keep putting ourselves in positions that prove to us that we have no worth, when there are positions that are impossible for us to be successful in, impossible for us to succeed in? What is the reason we keep sabotaging ourselves? What is the reason we keep setting ourselves up for failure? Why I think we don't do this to people around us, but we do it to ourselves. These are the things that we need to look out for, that we need to be careful of. We need to be kind to ourselves. We've spoken about that so much. Being kind to ourselves in who we surround ourselves with, in where we put ourselves, but also in how we treat ourselves. We need to be cognitive. We need to be aware that if we keep running into brick walls, if we keep failing in relationships, if we keep getting hurt in relationships, if we keep letting ourselves down and letting others down, are we taking on too much? Are we taking on things that there's no way we can succeed in? We need to be kind to ourselves. We need to understand that maybe we need to divide whatever we want to do by 10, and we do a tenth of that. Going into treatment, Dan Wolfe at then First Step and now Houghton House gave me some incredible advice. He said, Nick, take whatever you promise, whatever you want to do, and divide it by 2. Sometimes we need to divide it by 10. So we need to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in a position where we're going to fail. And above all, we need to make sure that we're not living our lives in a way to prove to ourselves that we have no worth and that we have no value. Because that is a destructive road that leads to one place. And it's not a place any of us deserve to go. If you are setting yourself up, you need to question why you are doing this. You need to question what's your motivation. What are you trying to achieve by proving to yourself that you have no worth and no value? Whose voice in your head are you trying to echo? Whose voice are you really hearing when you berate yourself and break yourself down? Those are the relationships that we desperately seek approval for. Maybe it's family, maybe it's parents, maybe it's a friend group, that we desperately try to prove that we're good enough where we could never, ever be good enough. So if you're hearing those voices, if you're echoing those voices, understand that is not you trying to destroy yourself. It's you trying to take on too much to prove that you have value and you have worth to those who could not see your value and worth. To go back to something we speak about often, journal, write down when you set yourself up for failure. Write down how you've set yourself up for failure. Write down why you think you set yourself up for failure. And then dig deep and find the voices that you are hearing and whose voice. Is it a parent? Is it a spouse? Is it a family member? Whose voice are you hearing when you set yourself up for failure and then berate yourself? And you write that voice down, and then you start to unpack who and why you are feeling like this. We should only ever put ourselves in positions of growth, not guaranteed success, but growth. And continuously setting ourselves up to fail and breaking ourselves down and berating ourselves, that's not how we grow. That's how we diminish ourselves. We diminish our own value in our eyes. And that's not how we build a life of value. So look at yourself. Look at your failures. Look at when you're not getting the outcome you want. And ask yourself why. Ask yourself, are you taking on too much? Are you setting yourself up for failure? And whose voice are you trying to echo? Thank you for joining me tonight. My apologies about the technical difficulties earlier. I appreciate your time. Oos. Have an awesome evening.